Welcome once again to your weekly update from the City of New Hope. Time to check in with the mayor to find out what's new and what you need to know in the city. Welcome, Mayor Hemken. How are you today?
Hi, Dave. Doing just fine.
It's a beautiful day here as we end up October, and it means it's prime election time as the election day is just over a week away. How are things going as far as early voting at City Hall, and what final reminders do residents need?
Well, November 8th is the election. And starting now, they can come into City Hall and vote and put their ballots right into the tabulator. They don't go through all that deal with the envelopes. There'll be a person at City Hall to help them to get registered if they need to do that and to help them get their ballots. So if you don't want to wait in line, you can do that until the 7th of November.
Okay.
And then after that, on November 8th, you have to vote at your polling place. I just want to remind some people's polling place is actually City Hall. So you should have got something in the mail. If you don't know where your voting place is, you can always call City Hall, or you can go onto the Secretary of State's website and find out where your polling place is.
Excellent. I think the site mnvotes.org is one we've used in the past to get people to the right spot to get out and vote.
Yeah.
So easy way to check that out. We want to talk a little bit about the golf tournament that happened a little while ago. We had talked a lot about it leading up, and you've got some numbers to report that are very, very nice.
Very good. They made over $5,000. And what happens with that money is half of it goes to the chamber, the Minneapolis Chamber of Commerce, because they're the ones that put it on. And the other half, they let the cities decide where it's going. So 20% is going to Seven Dreams Foundation, 20% to New Hope Safety Camp, 20% to the YMCA, and 20% to PRISM. And then the crime prevention boards of both Crystal and New Hope will each get 10% of that. So it's a nice fundraiser, and it all goes back into the community.
Very nice. Thanks to all those who golfed and participated as sponsors. Let's talk a little bit about a building that people are wondering what the future is in the city, the Old Country Kitchen on 42nd. You might have some news about that site.
We do. El Loros, that's a restaurant that's currently in Crystal, bought that site, and now their plans are at Hennepin County. They're looking at that. And then after that, they will apply to the city for a liquor license. They're telling me that they should be opening in January of 2023. Now, I don't know if they're going to keep the site in Crystal, or they're going to just have the one in New Hope, but something will be at Country Kitchen in January of 2023.
Very nice. Good news. Something called the Property Maintenance Reference Guide. You wanted to point that out to residents and tell us a little bit more about what that involves.
Well, we have a property maintenance reference guide. You can get a hard copy of it, or you can go online and look at what you need to know. It tells you about the different violations. It tells you what the code says. It tells you how to avoid those violations. And it's just some general information of how to keep your property up so that the city is continuing to look good. So you can go onto our website and get that, or you can call City Hall and get a copy.
That website again, newhopemn.gov. Continuing on in community development, some other things happening. A property at 3840 Boone, a rental property. You have an update there for residents in that area.
We do. That address is a group home, and that group home was causing some amount of distress to the neighborhood, and also a lot of police calls. So they've had 3 disorderly citations in the last month or in the last year, and that's what the ordinance says. And so because of that, we're revoking their license. So they're preparing the resolution, and we'll see that on the 14th of November. But in the meantime, they've been given notice that they need to vacate that property.
Let's talk about franchise fees, again, something we do on a somewhat regular basis, just to update residents about what this is and the amount of money that comes into the city. What can you tell us of the latest update?
Well, CenterPoint and XL Energy, when they do work, a lot of times they'll damage the curb or the street, and they don't necessarily replace it. So we the cities are allowed to charge franchise fees through those companies, and then that money comes back to the city, and we'll make those repairs. Now, our fees haven't been upgraded since 2016, so we're going to look at those fees and make sure that they're close to what the other cities are charging too. So you might see a little change in that in the next few months.
Okay, let's move to Scatterside Housing. We've got a couple properties to update residents on. First is 3611 Louisiana. What is the update on that property?
We've been looking at that property for a couple of years now, and they finally agreed to sell it to us. And so they're getting the purchase agreement ready, and then it'll go to the EDA, which is actually the city council. And the EDA, if they approve it, we will then buy that, and that's it's up for demolition. So we'll
Okay.
tear that down and sell the lot to a developer and put up a nice new house there.
Next property is 4201 Boone. We've got some pictures to show you here of a lot of earthwork going on. Again, remind us of this property's past and the future.
Well, that was the old tree house. And now that the buildings are gone, we didn't realize it's so big. So they did some grading. They moved the utilities, got those ready. That's going to be resurveyed into 2 lots. They put a berm on 42nd so that it would kind of help with the noise a little bit. And you should be seeing, we haven't gone out to the developers yet. So probably in the spring, you'll be seeing a couple houses there.
Final note is the home on 62nd Avenue. This is a success story of a past Scatterside house. What news do we have now? That's good news.
In June of 2019, that house was built by Grapevine Homes, and they sold it for $350,000. So here we are in 2022, and it sold again for $435,000. So these houses are well built. They maintain themselves very well, and of course, everybody's houses went up, but that one went up quite a bit.
That is amazing. One final note under community development is the business networking group. Remind us again when this group meets next and what the topic is.
November 2nd at 2 o'clock. They're going to be at Prism. And typically what we do is we have the company that's sponsoring us or hosting to give us a little tour of their business and talk a little bit about their business. So we'll get a little update on Prism. Now, Prism isn't in New Hope, but the reason we're going there is because they serve half of the city of New Hope. And in an emergency, they serve the whole city. So we thought it was only fair that we include them in our business networking group.
Let's move ahead to the police department. A quick update for you on a few items. The first is the Community Police Academy. Understand we have some very proud graduates.
We do. So the academy, they graduated all their students. This is a coalition between New Hope, Crystal, and Robbinsdale. And the 3 police departments get together. The people at the academy move from one police department to another. So they learn how all the police departments function. And in their final day of classes, they had dinner. And then they went to the different rooms and did scenarios. And those scenarios were things like a domestic, we get a domestic call, a mental health call, a police call. What happens at the police department when these calls come in and what we do. So the people that went to the academy got to see what the police do in these calls. So really beneficial. They have this once a year, and every year it fills up very quickly.
Yeah, very interesting process. We'll keep you up to date when it comes around for next time. Another note, the police were very busy with City Day and an evening portion called Trunk or Treat. Give us the success story there.
Well, the City Day was inside, and there was just a little table there with the police department. But outside were all the police cars and a big SWAT vehicle, and we had public works people out there, and the witch was there. That would be me. And there were kids lined up all the way to the street to get, and they just walked around a little circle, got their treats. Lots of fun was had by all of them. And I want to really thank the police department and public works guys for all the extra work they do. I want to point out that last week we had 569 police calls, and all this other stuff that's going on is above and beyond doing the normal police call stuff they do. So our police department's really out there all the time.
One other note on police, something they're working on is the Pink Patch Project. Again, you've got a pin to signify that. Remind us what that project is all about. So
the African American Breast Cancer Coalition is doing this all over the country. And so you can buy these little pins for $10 or a patch that looks like a policeman's patch, and they're pink, and wear them. And the money goes to this African American Breast Cancer Coalition. It's brought to my attention that a lot of times African American women don't get the treatment that they should be getting. Either they don't have insurance or they just put it off. And the success rate, if they get those mammograms and get that right away, is really good. But they're really bad if they're not. So this money is just to help them with their project.
Fantastic. Let's go to Public Works, a few items to update you on. And this one seems a little out of season, but we have a water main break that the city had to respond to. Odd time of the year for a water main break.
Well, it is, but you know, we've got old pipes. It's an old city. And when they don't mind the water main breaks when it's 70 degrees out.
Right.
They mind when it's 110 and they mind when it's 20 below. But a water main break needs to be fixed. So they're out there doing that whenever they have to do that. You know, just in addition to all the other stuff they're doing, keeping the city, they're sweeping the streets and replacing signs and replacing hydrants and grading the athletic field. So thank you so much for all that they do. They're just constantly on the move doing something for us.
We want to give an update to some folks that might live around Northwood Park between Boone and Winnetka. There is some work to be done, but it sounds like that may be delayed a little bit, which probably is good news.
We have a 10-year pavement management plan. And so we go out 10 years and things are on the list of what to do. Well, we don't just go out and do it because it's on the plan. We actually go out and look. And so they looked at the area directly north of Northwood Park between Boone and Winnetka and decided that those streets weren't really in need of that kind of repair right now. So that's been pushed out a couple of years. We didn't forget about you guys, but we don't want to be doing stuff that we really don't need to be doing.
Okay. And final note, we want to touch on Meadow Lake, the drawdown we talked about quite a bit this past winter. Now they're doing some more testing, finding results, and you have some news to pass along of what they have found.
We have good news and bad news.
Okay.
The good news, we got rid of all the flathead minnows because they drew it down. There was no water for them and they died. So they're gone. However, the phosphorus levels are still high. And so with that, this blue-green algae popped up. And so they're not really sure what they're going to do. They're going to maybe try an alum treatment. I think they do that in the spring, I'm not sure. Or they may decide to do a drawdown. I'm not sure what they're going to do, but we're well aware of that blue-green algae that's popping up, and we're going to do something. We just don't know what yet.
Final note, out on the roads, 42nd and Maryland, you just have a little driving advice for people maybe in the coming week here.
Well, they've got a little project going on. It's just so one of the lanes will be down to one lane. So, of course, that always slows traffic down. I would say this week, if you can avoid 42nd and Maryland, I would.
Okay.
Go get there through 36th or some other way. It'll just make your commute a little easier.
All right, let's head to Park and Rec. A lot going on here as the fall season wraps up. And one of the fall events that occurred was with the dancers. And you see some of the photos here. They were in full costume for a Halloween party, it looks like.
Well, all of our dancers, they become like one big family. And they have all these little parties along the way. And of course, dancers like to dress up. And so they have these Halloween parties. And each of the groups, because they're in different age groups and different abilities, each of the groups have their own little Halloween party. And you'll see some of the pictures. It just was kind of a fun thing for the kids to do.
Yeah, great time. Winter in Motion is out, and this is full of information. Residents, why should this be something they pull out and use on a regular basis, Mayor?
Well, this is mailed to all the households and apartments in the city. So when you get it, don't throw it away. There's lots of good stuff in there. So just kind of set that aside. There's actually 4 people on the cover doing winter golf. And they'll be doing that again this winter.
Okay.
But I want to point out that there's still some stuff going on in the fall in Motion. So don't throw that one away just yet either. But I think about the 1st of December, you'll start seeing most of the stuff that's in the winter and spring. Can you believe we're talking about winter and spring?
Hard to believe, hard to believe. And also
the winter and spring in Motion. Keep that. If you did not get one, you can call City Hall or go into City Hall and get one.
Okay, very good. Talk about something a little bit out of season here. How about donating trees? So you've got a good partner that has donated some nice trees to the city. Tell us more.
Hennepin County donated 20 trees. Of course, there's no ash trees in there, just different varieties. And they're going to be put at Hidden Valley Park and at Liberty Park. And so as soon as we get them, we'll get those planted. Typically what they do is they tell the neighbors we're going to be planting them, and the neighbors can either watch or come and help.
Speaking of the ash trees, tell us a little bit about a process the city is using to check off some of those trees and make sure they know where they are that might be infested.
Well, the forester is going around, and I had talked to him a couple times, and he said, "Oh yeah, I already saw that tree." And we discussed this. There's got to be some way to tell people that you've already recognized that tree. So he's got a can of spray paint, and he's putting a big orange dot about the size of a baseball on the tree. If that orange dot is there, you know that he's seen the tree and it's probably on the schedule to be torn down.
Okay.
If you go outside and you know your tree is there and it doesn't look real good, but doesn't have an orange dot, you might want to call City Hall and tell them that, I don't think that tree's real healthy. Would you come and look at it? And he'll do that. But just having that orange dot means that we do know it's there. And what we'll do is you can't take them all down the same week. It's
Sure.
going to take weeks and weeks and weeks to get these all down. And so at least you know it's on the list of getting them down.
Final couple notes in Park and Rec. Let's go to a couple busy facilities. One that is very thankful to still be busy is the golf course. The weather's cooperating.
Well, they said that they'd stay open as long as weather permits. Now, my idea of weather permits is about a foot of snow on the ground, but apparently theirs is a little different. Usually it's when the greens freeze.
Okay.
And it's not, a lot of times they'll freeze overnight, but then by like 10 o'clock, they're not frozen and they'll let people play on them then. As the season kind of winds down, they'll be frozen a little later in the day, and we'll let you know when you can't play anymore. But right now they're still open and they're really busy, and the golfing is beautiful.
And a lot of people looking at renting the facility, the clubhouse building, for the winter months. So if you're interested, look for more information there. Over to the ice arena, they are busy. Some things ending and some things picking up right now.
Well, our Elite League is done. They just did their playoffs this last weekend, so they're done. But of course, the girls and the boys, high schools are practicing, and the youth hockey is practicing. So the ice arena is still busy. They all rent ice from us. They'll be open on Friday nights and Sundays for open skating. You can rent skates that are there. But the rest of the time, lots of groups are coming in to practice, and so we'll be busy during the weeks.
Final couple notes, a few ways here that people are looking to help others out or are helping others out. The first is how people can help through donating coats, foods, and also some toys. Where can they do that, and what is the time frame for that?
So until the 15th of November, they're doing a coat drive. They're asking for either new coats or slightly used coats. Well, you know those kids, they outgrow that stuff so quick. You thought it fit them last winter and it doesn't fit them anymore. If you donate those, they really are needed. And those can all be dropped off at the police station in New Hope. And they have till the 15th of November. We're having a toy drive and a food drive. So canned goods that aren't out of date,
right,
and no perishables, please. They have to be things that can be put on the shelf. Those things will all go to either Near or Prism. And so we just collect them. It's easier to drop them off at City Hall than to go to the food shelves with them. So when we get a bunch, we run over to one of the food shelves and drop them off. So any
nice.
toys that you bring, though, don't wrap them, because they have to make sure that they're new. The toys have to be new, and the food, will always take that.
Well, here's a story of getting a bunch of items in a great way, and it was so much it took a couple semis to deliver. What happened?
Well, the Church of the Latter-day Saints, this is the second year they've done that. They came to the food group. Now, the food group is the distribution center for Near and Prism and a bunch of others. They had 2 semis, each semi holding 40,000 pounds of food. And these are mostly non-perishables, but there were things like onions and potatoes and things like that that have a little longer shelf life. So they came into the food group. The food group separated them into bins, and then they'll put them into packages, and they'll get to the 2 food groups. So thank you very much to the Church of the Latter-day Saints. They have this big food drive in October, and then they collect all the stuff and they put it in these semis and they deliver them to numerous locations. And we're just lucky enough to get a couple of them here.
Very nice. One final note to pass along. It is now time to let your opinion know and vote, not for the election, but for the photo contest. So right now people can go to City Hall and cast their vote. Is that correct?
That is correct, starting now. I don't know if they're going to have them on the wood stands or just on the big screens that are in there. They're actually better on the big screens because you can see them better. And there's a little piece of paper there. You just stand there for a few minutes, look at all the pictures, vote for one that you want, and put it in the box, and then that's the People's Choice Award.
Sure.
And I'm guessing it's probably through the whole month of November, because they're probably going to award these in December or January.
Very nice. All right. Get in and cast your vote for the election, but also for the photo contest. That is it of what's happening in the city of New Hope. Stick with us. We'll have a list of things happening in the city here in just a second. And again, the city's website, newhopemn.gov. Great place to go for updates on information. Mayor, thanks once again for your time. We'll talk to you again next week.
Thanks, Dave. See you then. Bye-bye.
Learn more about the connection at ccxmedia.org and follow us on social media.